All right, guys, here we are. Our last playoff scenarios for the season. This time, the European edition. And I have to thank Vitality. They just beat Mouse Sports about 20 minutes ago. And that helped my playoff scenarios a lot. We're going to mostly focus on top two or some of the crucial tiers. Top four we'll mention here or there, but there's such a cluster there that like most of it is just game differential help. If you guys don't know what is on the line going into the last week of the season, let's go over it. Here are your percentages right now of what teams can finish at Vitality. 0.93% chance that they don't make top two. So a really good chance for them. But basically there's a lot of tiers that go on for playoffs or even just promotion tournament or relegation. So we'll go over it quickly. If you finish top two in the purple, then you get an automatic bye to the semifinals. That is the money zone is what I'm calling it. That will automatically qualify you into the top four, where an extra $100,000 has been added since there is no world championship. So that's where you want to be. Now, if you're 3 or 4, you get 2 chances at making it into the semifinals. You have to lose 2 games to be out. So that's also a pretty good spot. The last 2 spots for the playoffs are 5 and 6. They have to win 2 games to make it to the semifinals. So a much more difficult road for them. Number 7 is the golf tier. They're just going to go and play some golf. They are in RLCS Season 10. They have locked up their spot. 8 and 9 go into the promotion tournament to play the Rival Series number 2 and number 3 seed. The number 1 seed from Rival Series, well, they automatically qualify for the RLCS. They replace the number 10 seed. So very important to not be in that spot because you don't get any second chances this season. So it's going to be crucial down the line for teams like that. Here's the percentages now. As we see, Monaco and TSM are fighting over number 10. Endpoint, Team Singularity are fighting over number 7. And then the top 6 is already locked in. Only 3 teams are fighting for top 2. That's Barcelona, Dignitas, and Vitality. And then Veloce, Reciprocity, Mouse, and Barca as well. They're all fighting for a top 4 versus a 5 or 6 spot. Dignitas and Vitality both have locked up at least top 3, so that's a good sign for them. So let's get into the actual playoff things going on now. We have Monaco. We'll start at the bottom and work our way up top. They need to win, and they need TSM to lose. Plus, they need to make up 4 game differential. This one's really rough. They should have won this week, probably. Playing Barca, got reverse swept on some crazy plays. But not only do they have to beat Team Singularity, say they beat them 3-2, they still would need TSM to get swept at this point. So Barca would have to sweep TSM. Monaco would get the spot by 1 game differential. TSM holds the head-to-head, so that's why they need to get that 1 game differential better. The tiebreakers are game differential first, then it goes to head-to-head. If there is a 3-way tie, then it goes to combined head-to-head with all 3 teams. Then if that is still tied, which I think could possibly happen in this cluster, then it goes to how did you fare versus the top-ranked team, then the second-ranked team, and so on until those ties are broken. Monaco not looking good to make it, but it's possible. One thing also is I will be going over the schedule for the games. It's not going to be the same order that we see right now. I don't know exactly when it'll be announced, but basically I plan and throw it to Psionics, try and figure out which way works best for hype and fairness in terms of all these playoffs. So if you can think of a good schedule, feel free to throw it in the YouTube comments below because I'll be working on that probably tomorrow. And if I get a few good suggestions, then maybe, I can look at that to start my base and then figure it out from there. So why not? Throw it out there if you think you have it correct or as close to correct as you can get it. Next up, we talked about TSM and Monaco. TSM, obviously, they don't need to make up that 4-game differential. That they can still make it even if these 2 things do not happen. If ASM wins and they lose and they don't make up that game differential, they can still make it. But if they just win, they clinch 9th. If Monaco loses, they also clinch 9th. So TSM's in a good spot to at least go to the promotion tournament. They cannot move up any higher than that. So they will be playing against the number 2 seed from the Rival Series if they finish 9th. Next up, Endpoint. For top 7, very close series today versus Team Singularity that meant pretty much everything because now it's tough. They need to win and they need Singularity to lose. Say this was flipped, not only would Singularity have to win and Endpoint would have to lose, they would have to make up game differential as well. So this was a big one. Now Singularity, they just need to win or they need Endpoint to lose, and we'll show that right here. Sorry about the text. My wife is texting me. So we'll just show it here because it's pretty quick. We'll just go down here. You see Endpoint, -6 game differential. That's pretty good. Team Singularity, 1 worse than them. So obviously Endpoint, the only way to catch them, they would have to better their game differential. The only way Team Singularity drops is if they lose game differential. So pretty simple there. Endpoint, they play Mouse Sports. Pretty tough game there. Team Singularity, they play Monaco. Seems like an easier match. So that's even rougher for Endpoint now because of that. So that was a big game this week for that spot for RLCS Season 10 purposes. Moving on, we'll go over to Mouse Sports for top 4. They need 2 wins, and they will get top 4. They don't have to worry about anything else. Or they go 1-1 with some game differential help. They have 2 games, so they have the most to move around, like move and shake this table up. So let's just throw in some 2 wins here. I think it was just 2 wins will guarantee them the spot. It does not, actually, so my apologies there. So I didn't write that. So they would need 2 wins, and they still need help to make a top 4 spot, unless, let's see if they sweep, because I didn't really look at all this completely. So if they sweep, they get the spot. It just depends on game differential stuff. Obviously, the Barcelona series will help them more. But you can see here, like as I plug and play these in, that things change based on that. Now they would have a 5.56% chance to finish number 5, even with 2 wins. So there still is chances there. That would have to mean that Barca would have to get a win, or Veloce, or Rec. Like honestly, like any of them, you need 2 other teams to win here and then beat them in game differential. Say Veloce and Rec both swept, then they would move up and pass Mouse Sports in this current scenario. So I'm not going to look in that too much for the tiebreakers. For Mouse, though, if they do lose both series, it's not looking pretty for them. No matter what, number 6. They can't get any better than that because everyone has at least 5 wins already. So Mouse Sports, a lot to play for this weekend coming up. Moving on. Now, this is going to be very similar across the board because of how clustered everyone is. A reciprocity. Win or lose and help. It's that simple. Obviously, if they win and by the amount they win, it will help their scenarios out. And if they lose, by how much they lose will hurt their scenarios. But they can still lose and still make it. And we'll show that real quick. We'll clear the rest of the board here. So you got Rec. Say they 3-0 here. We see it right here. They still have a 5.56% chance for number 5, even if they sweep Dignitas. If they get swept, we'll show that. Where's Rec? Right here. They still have a little over 1% chance to make 3 or 4. They even have a chance for 3rd by getting swept by Dignitas. That's how crazy and how close it is right now. So that's why it's kind of pointless to run through every single scenario. Just know that all those teams are clustered. They're incredibly close, and anything can change, which is going to make the schedule really tough to figure out. So that's going to be fun. Veloce, hey, guess what? I just copied and pasted for top 4, win or lose, and help. We'll go back over there. One thing I want to point out here is look at these game differentials. Like we heard Johnny Boy talking about how Mouse Sports has a tough hole to climb out of, but they actually don't in terms of game differential because they have 1 less win than everyone else here. So really, when we're looking at game differential, on average, a series would go 3-1. That's a +2. If Mouse Sports was to tie Veloce and Rec on an average win, they would actually have a better game differential than these 2 teams. Barcelona actually has the worst game differential right now because the only way to tie, they have to lose. They would drop game differential. So Mouse Sports, realistically, in tiebreakers, actually favors them over these other teams right now. That can obviously change based on sweeps or based on whatever happens in the series. But just based on averages of when you win, you get +2 games. When you lose, you get -2 games. Mouse Sports is actually in a pretty decent spot. For Veloce and Rec, they're exactly the same. So that's going to change things too. Then you get into head-to-head tiebreakers and all that. And that's a mess. So we're not going to talk about that too much here. But when we're on the desk for RLCS, I will let you know every scenario, every single game when I can. Obviously, there'll be a lot of math involved. I may make small minor errors, but I think for the most part, I'll be able to lock it down as long as I get this schedule in a correct order. So that is Veloce. It's pretty much the same exact thing. The team they play is Vitality. So it's going to be a tough game. But we'll show it here as well. If they sweep, they still have a 1.39% chance to get 5th. If they get swept, probably a little over 1% chance, I would assume. Actually, a little bit higher because of like head-to-head tiebreakers. So a 6.87 chance to get 4th. But they can't get 3rd. And that's why this is all confusing. Because Rec, if they get swept, they can still get 3rd, but they have a less percentage chance to get 4th. It's just the way of life. don't question it. Don't question the math. Anyway, moving on. Barca, they also have 2 games. Barca and Mouse are the 2 movers that we're going to be watching out for. They play one another as well. For top 2, they are the only team outside Dig and Vitality that have a chance at top 2. It's an outside shot, but they have a shot. They need to win 2, so both games, and have Dig or Vitality lose, plus some help. When we go back to our game differentials, Vitality has an amazing game differential. That's why they are so close to clinching a top 2 spot. So in all likelihood, Barca would need to win 2, and they probably hope that Dignitas lose. That would be their way to get in, that ticket in. Otherwise, they basically have to sweep both games and then hope Vitality loses pretty badly, or at least loses by more than just 3-2 to get that spot. So that's what Barca is playing for. Now, on the other side, for top 4, they can go 0-2, or 1-1, but still get help and still finish top 4. So we'll just show that one real quick. So say they get swept here. Say they get swept. I'm not sure if sweeps actually matter here, but we'll point it out here. So Barca, if they both get swept, they go all the way down to the basement because their game differential will be miserable. But say versus Mouse Sports, they go 3-2. I think that'll start changing things. Oh, not yet. So they need a little bit more game differential here in terms of this. But see right here, a 3-2 versus Mouse, lose it. They lose to TSM 3-1. Now they have a 5% chance for 4th, so they're still alive there. Just they have to lose close series, basically. If it's the opposite way, it probably hurts their percentage chance. Yeah, it hurts it a bit. They're down to 2.78% because the game differential will matter more, or basically times 2 versus Mouse, because, Mouse actually can catch up to them. So Barcelona, they can still lose both games and still squeak into the number 4 spot. If they win both, though, even if they're 3-2s, we'll see how their playoff scenarios work out. Number 3 is the worst that they can possibly finish. Very likelihood they get number 3 unless teams start dropping down. So say they won 3-2, 3-2. Dig would not only have to lose, they would have to lose 3-0 for this to matter. So they would have to, so say this is a 3-1. Dig would still get the spot. Vitality would get number 1. So that is the thing there for Barcelona. They need to win and win big and then hope Dig or Vitality kind of crumble a little bit. More so, Vitality would have to get swept. Dig could probably just lose if Barcelona wins big in both their games. So that's what Barca is playing for. Now we're going to move over to Dig and Vitality, the 2 huge favorites for top 2. And again, these are the only teams. Oh, I didn't even write them. This is how lazy I am. Well, I'll write them later. But for Dig and Vitality, if they win, they're top 2. Simple as that. If Barca loses one series, they are both in. Vitality, I believe, only needs 1 game in order to be top 2. Let's see. Pretty sure it's 1 game. They need 1 game versus Veloce, and they get top 2. Nope. Looks like they need 2 games, I think. 2 games versus Veloce should clinch them. Yeah. So 2 games versus Veloce will clinch them a spot. They don't even have to win their series at that point. They could have everything else. Like Barca could sweep both games. It doesn't matter. Dignitas, they don't have that favor because of this game differential. They would need to win, or Barca would have to lose one of their games, or a mixture of game differentials there as well. So Dignitas, a very likelihood they will make it. If they lose and Vitality lose, well, no matter what, Dignitas can't catch Vitality at that point. So they can't have Vitality lose worse than Dig and then swap because they already have a 3-game differential lead. Vitality's game differential is great right now. So that is basically it for the playoff scenarios for Europe. Dignitas Vitality, huge lead for top 2. Barca is still in the running. And then top 6 is locked. All of them can move 3, 4, 5, 6 in any order. Who knows what's going to happen? Big fight for number 7, but it's unlikely. Team Singularity probably locks that up. Big fight for number 9 and 10. TSM very likely locks that up as well. So that's what we're playing for next week. So that'll do it for me on these playoff scenarios. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.